Hi, this is Evan. Welcome all you free reminders out there. This is Danny. Danny's a close buddy of mine. He's also a physical therapy assistant, healer, Qigong master as well, I think. We go way back. What we're going to talk about today, I got a phone call from a couple of friends today. They got a really, really bad bicycle accident. A couple fractures. One woman fractured her ankle. The other gentleman he fell on his left side, fractured both wrists, fractured his ribs as well, and they're in a lot of pain. So they contacted me. They want to find out more information on how to improve their bone health, to improve their healing. So today I'm going to talk about, now Danny's a young stud, but we don't need to really go into because your bones are pretty solid. But I want to go into bone health for everybody that's out there. It could be if you have osteoporosis, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, a bone fracture, a spur, it doesn't really matter. All right, we're going to talk about simple basic principles that if you follow these principles, you can accelerate healing much faster. Okay, so a couple things that you want to be aware of when you're dealing with bone. You need to have silica in your diet. Okay, so where do you get silica from? Horsetail and nettle root. Those two herbs taken on a daily basis. You can make them into a decoction like a tea. All right. There's also the silica mineral, which is from cell food. Very, very good. I'd recommend those three products. All right. Now, as far as anti-inflammatory goes, you need to be on 6,000 to 10,000 milligrams of omega-3. The company I like is Life Extension, and the reason why I like Life Extension is because all their fish oils have been studied to show there's no mercury toxicity and there's no rancidity in them. Okay, that's why I like Life Extension. Moving forward, another herb I need you to be on is something called Nikomia. Nikomia is a longevity herb that specifically treats bone. And in studies, it's been shown to actually increase the enzyme telomerase, which actually lengthens the telomeres, which is your longevity remedy of the DNA. Okay? So Nikomia is very, very important. Okay? It's also food for the bone marrow. Another herb I want you to be aware of is something called Ashwagandha. All right? Ashwagandha is another herb from India. It's an Ayurvedic herb that will communicate the thyroid with the adrenals, which will allow the body to heal much faster. Thyroid deals with metabolism, the adrenals deals with, in Chinese medicine, the jing and the bone marrow. That's why those two herbs work really nicely together. Now you can blend all those herbs together into an elixir, which is awesome, and I highly recommend that. The next thing I want you to think about is getting a product called calcifood. Now calcifood might be very difficult to come by because they only sell it to medical professionals. Calcifood is made by a company called Standard Process. So if you have any problems getting it, you can always call us here. We have it here for sale. All right. Now, if you're in acute trauma, think about getting something called arnica. Okay. Arnica 200C, which is a homeopathic remedy which will treat the pain. Another mineral that you should think about, a mineral complex, I like to use cell salts a lot of times. Schussler's cell salts. Look that up as well. That's really good for anything that has to do with bones. All right. Now, if you're dealing with scar tissue, you want to be on an enzyme protocol, a heavy-duty enzyme protocol. There's a lot out there, but you want to take these enzymes on an empty stomach first thing in the morning to break down scar tissue. Okay. Systemic enzymes, preferably, but digestive enzymes will work as well if you take it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. All right. A couple of companies I like, Standard Process, has a product called Multizyme. And the reason why I chose Standard Process is because it's relatively cheap compared to the other products on the market. Wobemzyme is a great product as well for scar tissue. Anything that has nattokinase as well is amazing for any kind of plaque buildup or scar tissue in the body. All right. So we got the herbs out of the way. Now, obviously, you want to try to reduce stress as much as possible. So I want to teach you how to do a technique called diaphragmatic breathing. Okay? Diaphragmatic breathing, now this goes out to my friend Kevin, who fractured his ribs and he's having difficulty breathing, but it would also accelerate anybody that's having a bone challenge at this time. So Danny, can you line your back for me? Head that way, please. Okay. So Danny, can you show everybody, let's have you bend your knees up. Sometimes it's easier to bend the knees up because then you take the pressure off a muscle in the abdominal wall called the psoas. Now Danny, can you just do chest breathing for me? And it's difficult for Danny to do it because he's been trained to belly breathe. Now, when the chest elevates right through here, we're actually using these accessory muscles in the neck area. All right? When these accessory muscles are active, It's going to make you more prone to getting any kind of neck stiffness, neck pain. It can also compress the nerve roots that feed the thyroid. So if you're a chest breather, it's going to influence the thyroid, all right? And the thyroid and parathyroid deal with anything that's related to bone and metabolism, all right? Now, Danny, I want you to focus on the diaphragm now. So the diaphragm, if you ever see a baby breathe, a baby will always breathe from the diaphragm. And you notice how he's not getting much movement here. It's probably an 80-20 ratio. The belly moves 80%, chest moves 20%. So as the diaphragm fills up, he's actually lifts up, he's actually filling the lower 2/3 of his lungs. The upper 2/3 happen from the chest breathing. Now what's going to happen if he only chest breathes? He's only going to fill the 1/3 up of the upper lobes of the lungs. He's not going to fill up the lower lobes. So we want to train the belly to move appropriately. Good. And you want to spend about 3 to 5 minutes doing this. And automatically I feel his chi shift. I feel the expansiveness of his whole entire body. Just by bringing in proper amount of oxygen. Good. That's perfect. That's good. And now, and I like to have him breathe through his nose too. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you just a couple of different Qigong movement patterns that you can do as well. Those stimulate bone growth as well as white blood cells. So if you have a white blood cell deficiency, this helps stimulate it. By the way, all those herbs I mentioned previously, go back, rewind, write them down, will also increase white blood cell count and also improve the immune system. Okay? So the first Qigong exercise we're going to do, Danny, I'm going to have you stand up so you can actually show everybody to do it. You're actually going to do lower dantian tapping. So from here, you're just going to tap about 2 inches below the belly button. You want to spend just a few minutes. Now I understand, my friends, that I fractured his wrist. He's not going to be able to do this with both hands, so then he just does one. And it might hurt him because of the fracture, so you might just tap lightly. Okay? But as you get better and stronger, you actually start beating the lower abdominal wall. This is where the qi is stored in Chinese medicine. Now from here, you're going to move to the ASIS, which is basically the front part of the pelvis. And you're going to tap here. This is all for bone marrow. Perfect. Danny, that's awesome. And then Danny, if you turn around, and now what I want you to do is I want you to tap the area of L1, 2, and 3. L1, 2, and 3 is the Ming Men in Chinese medicine. It's also the nerve roots that innervate the kidneys and the adrenals. And like I said earlier, the kidneys correspond in Chinese medicine to the bones, bone marrow, brain, ears, etc. Okay? So it's also the corresponding organ system for longevity. Alright, so Danny, I want you to bend forward a little bit, and I just want you to tap right here for me. And this simple, easy movement pattern is one way to prolong your life. That's so simple. Fantastic, Danny. Good. Now we're going to turn around. And remember I said the kidneys correspond to the ears. So Danny, what I want you to do from here is I just want you to flick your ears. More about the earlobe, like, yeah, there you go. Okay? And believe it or not, just by doing this alone, you're stimulating the bone. That's perfect. All right, Danny, so if you take your seat. I just want to say thank you so much. If you have any questions, rewind this, watch it again. There was a lot of information, okay? Listen to it for a couple times, because I know some of the herbs I mentioned you probably never heard of. Like omega-3 you probably have heard of, but most of you probably only taken about 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. All the research shows they need to be taken at least 6,000 milligrams a day to protect your DNA. Okay? You might have to go to 10,000 if you have an inflammatory response. Alright? But if you have any questions, feel free to go to our Facebook page at Free Your Mind Now. Type in your question, and I'll get back to you. I look forward to seeing everybody at our next teleconference next Sunday at freeyourmindnow.com, www.freeyourmindnow.com. Thank you. Have a great day.